my vibrations, sweet babies. Well, let's try and make these vibes high. I won't sit here and deny what I think everyone is tapped into in some way or another. And that is just some feeling of global shift, whatever that means to you. I'm going to leave it very open-ended because I think in some way, somehow, we can all fill in the blank. And that is our collective human experience. And that is ultimately what I'm speaking on when I talk to my smaller collective here in this space that I have carved out to share what I'm channeling, what I'm feeling into. Also, quick side note, I'm slightly out of breath because I just hauled a huge thing of laundry up my long driveway because I could not get my car up the driveway in the snow. If you were in the winter snowstorm, I hope you're staying warm and I hope you made some snowy memories. And if you're somewhere where there is no snow, get that sunshine and warmth on your skin for me, please. So before we get going, my name is Hannah, aka Bunny on the internet spaces. I am a full-time model. I am a mindset coach. My whole thing is empowerment through expression. And I'm also a multifaceted muse. I do lots of different mediums, if you will, this being one of them. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as that pertains to you, my friends. But just to give you a little understanding of what we do here, if you haven't already looked in the description, I drop a whole bunch of symbols that might act as a confirmation that you're in the right place at the right time. I often sit with my family's cat while I do these readings, so in case you hear some little animal stirrings, that is Earl. I feel as though the topic of mediumship is prominent right now. Okay. I like to come into this space because I have always been very tapped in, tuned in, turned on, if you will. And what I mean by that is just present. A lot of times I'm really present, but in the more mind, body, spirit kind of way, where I am able to be really present with the energies in this whole ordeal, which in turn can sometimes leave me feeling a little bit disembodied and feeling a little bit spiritually ungrounded, if you will. It's been a journey for me, a very long one, and I can't help but just sort of reflect back on this real quick, if you don't mind. When the beginning of my journey happened, it wasn't so much this decision that I was intuitive or sensitive to energies. It was actually something that other people were telling me. And it wasn't up until I had like a week span of time where I was talking to a bunch of people. I was very much in my travel mode at the time, still am. And like day after day after day, conversation after conversation, people were mentioning how intuitive I was and how I was reading their thoughts. Have you ever been called an empath before? There was lots of different things that people were telling me about myself before I finally was kind of like, oh, is there something here that maybe is worth kind of understanding about myself? And it turns out that there was, but it also turns out that I'm not very special. Because this is something that everyone has the ability to do. It's not some miraculous gift. And the more that I really began to understand human nature and just how that's Earl. He's allowed to be doing that because that is his cat tree. So we're going to just, yes, wait till he's done. As I began looking into, the nature of all of it, the science of all of it, because really up until that point in my life, which was a very catalytic event or time in my life, and honestly, the astrology lines up, friends, and if you're not on that wave right now, it might be a rabbit hole worth, going into. I know the snow day's over, but if you have a nice cozy night to like make yourself a little crazy, go and look up all the astrological stuff that's going on right now and how it coincides to like 10 years ago and other important specific dates. But my point being that at that time there was a really there was a surplus of catalytic events in my life that had me in this very open, ooey gooey place of like, you know what, maybe, you just get to a certain point where you're like, after all that I just went through, all the things I've seen, what I heard about, you hear enough stuff, 222, and you get to a point, you live through enough stuff, and you get to a point and you're just like, maybe, I'm open to it. Why not? I can, be open-minded now because I had so many perplexing, mind-boggling situations that really challenged my viewpoint. It also challenged my safety. It challenged my perception of the world and the people in it. And thus began a long journey of understanding myself, how I experience the world, and what that means as a relational creature experiencing the world alongside other people. People who may be tapped into that same awareness and people who might not be. And I think one of the silliest things that we can do as spiritually aware people is to try to let's reframe this. I think one of the most powerful things that spiritually aware people can do is continue to raise up other people with gifts around them. Here's a quick tidbit, okay? Because I'm feeling very called to speak on these things because my spirit team has been like, feeling like arm in arm with me as of recently. There's been a lot of like shifts internally for me. I'm sure that's going to be an experience that you feel as well, collective. And there's a reason for that. There is a purpose to that. And, you might hear a lot of different people saying right now that this is going to be a really powerful time in history for a lot of different reasons. And one of those reasons being that there's going to be a shift in the conscious, spiritually aligned, spiritually aware community. So back to my point. We, as a collective of people who are spiritually in tune, aware of the energies of the world, just looking to heal, looking to create peace and harmonize and neutralize energies and et cetera, sometimes cause a little disruption if that's what the healing calls for. But like, there is this need to raise others in that collective up, right? And I always say that when I'm feeling into this stuff, like, these are all things that I need to hear because I listen back and I'm like, yes, that actually pertains to my experience. And what's that word? I don't know. I'm into it right now, apparently. As that reflects in my life, it's like, this is for all of us. Collective. There's an emphasis, bless you, Earl, on the idea of community, right? On the idea of support, systems, you name it. And when it comes to this whole, and I see it in the community, it is what it is. Polarity exists. Cannot avoid it, I'm aware. But it disheartens me when I have to protect my energy from other spiritual beings, and in particular spiritual women. That really grinds my gears, because it perpetuates this long history that was literally created to divide instead of, once again, bring people together. It's a long history of creating a competition, creating a need to put another woman down in order to create safety within the other woman's life, in order to feel like there is enough of something for another woman. This goes back to the witch wound, which I have discussed before. I'm going to release the Carnelian Sisterhood podcast series that I did a while back. I'm not sure when or where I'm going to do that, but it is going to happen. And I'll just drop the link for that witch wound episode for you down below, because I might go into it. I might do a part 2. I might do a remix, because it's real. And this keeping us on track here is relevant for us, because when we are tearing down other people who are here to do the healing, who are here to be in tune, to be perceptive, to be in purpose. We all have one, and some of us have crafted that, who have really spent time cultivating that for quite some time. There's no need to be having to use that same sort of protective energy against somebody who should be your sister. In all actuality, in womanhood, in sisterhood, in just collective. Sharing that in the same. And here's the thing. By not doing that, that is the witch wound. That is the exact same blockage that each one of us have had to face in order to actually be in tune, to actually be connected to our purpose, to actually be receiving the guidance without all the stuff, without all the mud of the 3D, of the ego, of what have you, right? So that witch wound, let me just briefly break that down into like a more bite-sized ideology. Like, it is this idea that if a woman is in her power, if a woman is connected to her gifts, and this does happen with all people of all gender identities, and that's your experience, that's still the witch wound. You know what I mean? It's like not going to have to do with that at all. So just think of it, but this movement that was created in significance to create a fear and instill this like fear, this deep systemic way in which women would operate instead of unify, which is what we were doing. And it shows up in our world, and it shows up in people in time and time again in many, many different ways. And I'm bringing a notice to this because while there are other real, very important things going on in the world that need addressing and changing, this is where I speak to, because this is where I know I'm needed. This is where my purpose lies. This is how I contribute to that. And I actually saw a threads the other day that kind of speaks to this. So if you're not on my threads, you might want to go check that out. I know it's a little unhinged and you don't have to follow me, but at least go check out the rethreaded. I don't know. I'm just there for a good time, not a long time. And it was this sort of way to like think about how you can actually be of service and of contribution in times that feel big, and how to do it authentically and how to do it within your purpose. And I think that's really powerful perspective to have. So for me, I'm speaking to this because this is a witch wound that we all need to be mending continually, as we might be activated or actually initiated very soon, if not already. And I'm feeling it. I don't know if you collective are already tapping into this. I'm sure that you are. But this feeling of like certainty. It's almost like us sensitive folks, I'm going to say artists, creatives, whatever your medium is, you have spent quite a while, like quite a bit of time, just tending to it. Just tending to it. Like caring for it, improving upon it. I'm not sure what me and my cat just heard, but we did hear something. That was interesting. Okay, well, he's over it, so am I. There's this collective of us who have been on this journey of not only understanding what our gifts and our talents and our purpose is, but also just really tending to it. I want to say like cultivating it, curating it, crafting it, your craft. It is your medium. And Spirit is asking me to very, like, almost get eye level with you. If it was possible to look you in the eye while I say this, I would. That this is your purpose. Like, this was your purpose. And you need to think of it as your medium. And like, if you were to specifically go to, oh my God, my cat is so cute. I can't take it. Hi, Annie. You're so adorable. Oh. He's so funny. Do you look at your pets like that? Like they're just heaven sent, because they are. Anyway, if you're looking to like specifically connect with another realm, if you want to speak to somebody, whether you're into this or not, just think of it like this. If you wanted to speak to somebody who had passed on, who would you go to? A medium, a psychic medium, right? That word means that they exist in the medium, where the low and the high sort of intercept. And it's this like interwoven place of, or I would rather say like state, where you're able to really take away the structures of what we think here in the physical world. And you just sort of, finding that medium for you is not about convening with passed on humans, but that is how that medium heals. That is their gift. That is something that they tapped into, they stayed true to, they practiced, they tended to, they live in alignment with. And it is time for you to think of your gift in the very same way. How do I heal with this? You weren't given a gift or a talent or a purpose just for the, glee of it, which I'm sure it brings you a lot of joy, because when you're in your purpose, when you do something with your purpose, it just, time ceases to exist. It's just not a matter of like, oh, I'm bored, I'm not having fun with this. It's just like this endless inspiration, this fire that doesn't go out. And there is a reason for that, because that will be what heals others. And it's up to you to discover how that needs to take shape and what that needs to look like. In my last reading, I talked about how there's this need for a very hands-off approach. And I feel like that's true for any, modern mystics who might be here, sensitive artists, in-tune creatives, conscious creators, however you describe yourself. I'm glad that you're here. I'm very grateful you're here. I'm hoping you're finding insight from this. This is how you heal. It's up for you to decide what that looks like, and to make sure you're doing it in a way that still preserves your peace of mind, your energy. And here's the thing. What I was also feeling really compelled to speak on was this idea that don't forget that a lot of us sensitive folk, a lot of us who are tapped in, tuned in to whatever their gifts might be, had to fight tooth and nail to be at this peace with who they are. There's usually a lot of challenge within our collective experience of how much you're willing to believe in yourself, because that's the witch wound. If you want to look at it like on an incarnation level, you could look at it that way. You could think of it as your lineage level. You could think of it that way. There's many, many people who are related in some way to someone who has either been in a witch trial or was partaking in that experience in some way. Maybe they weren't on trial, but they might have been the one casting the finger, saying they're who did it. I think it's really important to realize that is the karmic role, and there was a karmic lesson to be learned here. And I think that you, collective like I am, are starting to really understand some of the obstacles, some of the specific people who were placed in your path and in your life that felt like a frustration, that felt like they were, like, why am I dealing with this? Like, what did I do to this? Whatever. Sometimes it's situations like victim of circumstances. Whatever it is, you're starting to understand that it was like this initiation process, and you're getting to this place, this level of peace within yourself and acceptance within yourself of like, oh, okay. Because that gave me everything I needed to be of full service and support during this time. To be in an authentic role to show up for those I love and for those that I need to in this time. And I'm not gonna like pussyfoot around it, my friends. You know me, like there is, I think you probably feel it too, like this rumbling within yourself that like this wasn't all for nothing. Everything you've learned, all of the gifts that you have so devotedly, had faith in within yourself, it wasn't all for nothing. And you weren't just destined to walk on earth with just like this sensitivity to you that was just gonna make you forever uncomfortable in grocery stores. Like, that's not it for you. Might be it for me. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it's not. It's just not. And I think finally you're understanding like how this mattered, how this was you and your journey, why you were born on the day you were born, with the placements that you have, with the gifts that you've acquired, with the knowledge that you have attained, with the experience that you have lived, and with a whole lot of angelic ancestral protection around you at all times. You know. 37 might be significant. I just think it's very important. Again, I'm going to circle back to this idea that we should not be confusing a sensitive folk for somebody to be fucked with. No. We fought long and hard for this peace. Okay, and we've acquired new tactics to manage the shit we've been through. You can't devolve, my dear. You have gone through a beautiful evolutionary process, a journey that is one to be celebrated and recognized. And whatever you are being initiated into is going to be that of like, I'm just gonna share it. Like, Spirit's just like, yeah, just like say it, like say what you're trying to say. So like, there's this feeling of, many of my coaching clients, we were Bambi to bombshells. We were in this fawning trauma response, and we had to learn how to put a little bass in our voice once again, come back to that vibrant fire within your belly, that firecracker energy that takes up space, and in that journey, we have to unlearn this idea that people won't like us for speaking our truth, setting our boundaries, and saying what needs to be said, doing what needs to be done, living how you need to live. This is the verbal permission slip I'm giving you, if this is something you're dealing with, to remember that there is going to be people, this is what Spirit was saying, speak on. There will be people who clap when you put a little bit of attitude, a little sass in your voice. There are going to be people who are like, ooh, okay, go her. Ooh, okay, king, stand your ground. There's a lot of celebration and respect that comes from knowing when it's time to address things and handle business. And this does not mean be a confrontational person who's always involved in conflict. But I think this is where this initiation process is coming forward, because you have lived in like surrender to your journey, friends, for so long. You're like, oh, I am just keeping on, I'm powering through. I'm trying not to let this, waver my strength, my personal power, all these things. And with that, there was this deep, immense respect and recognition, appreciation happening that you might have not seen. It's this feeling of like almost behind closed doors. That might be significant. Cardinals might be significant. 444 might be significant. 44 might be significant. 37, as I said, 27. Some ascension codes are coming up. 333, 1212. I saw those on the way here. Anyways, back to it. 47 showing up right now, just to remind you to trust your intuition and your gut nudges, your notions, the omens. Trust them. They are no longer just coincidences to you. These are now conversations with the divine to you. Okay, you've been really tapped into yourself, your purpose, your gifts for quite some time. Now, the reason that I brought up before But this was a long journey for me to understand how my energetic sensitivities show up in the world, okay? And this is something that I worked with my therapist around, and I had some mentorship around, and it's been a very beautiful experience, to say the least. And I'm very grateful for all of the support and wisdom and just full acceptance that I've had in who I am and my experience. But with that said, that wasn't always the case. And there was a lot of imbalance and feelings of unsafety, very like activated energy, right? And a lot of this had more to do with my mental health and feeling like activated in the sense that I was creating stories around what I was feeling energetically, taking it on as my own experience, trying to solve the problem, and there goes the whole thing. When in reality, a lot of that was just me being so disembodied for so long before having any real understanding of the mind-body-spirit connection. And living in that state made me so unaware of what was mine and what was not. Now, after a very long time of sifting through the energies, not only knowing what's mine, but knowing whose is whose, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was a practice that took a lot of time and a lot of spiritual discipline. I mean, I was very fortunate in the fact that, not forced, definitely fortunate, to live my life with that sort of awareness and be able to sort of work a lifestyle around that gift and that ability and that sensitivity, or whatever you want to call it. And that is what Spirit is asking for you to do as well, because it's going to be something that you're maybe something you've been able to illuminate or has illuminated your life for a long time. But I think now more than ever, you're going to really see how this shows up in your life as your purpose. And a lot of dog barking. This is about loyalty to yourself, loyalty to your path, loyalty to your purpose. This is when discipline shows up for us, in the sense that we need to stay loyal to who we are, and trying to escape, trying to run away from, or not even trying to, but unconsciously perpetuating this deep fear that's ingrained in yourself from anything remotely quote unquote unusual, when it's literally science. This is how we get into that place of just like imbalance and feeling disconnected from self, disconnected from your path, feeling lost. Okay, so I don't think I need to tell that to this collective. I think my collective is very much in a place of knowing who they are and knowing that they're at least in this life, in it, fully, and experiencing it. And that can get overwhelming. And there is this emphasis from Spirit that's asking you to please stop trying to run away. Okay, whether you see yourself as the healer, the mystic, the warrior, whatever archetype feels accurate for who you are and how you support the betterment of those around you. You cannot run away from it. You can't run away from your purpose, and you don't want to. You just might feel a little bit overwhelmed with the intensity of it and what's required of you. And that's totally normal. I've been through that myself. It can be overwhelming in the sense that, other people might not understand it. And they don't have to, because it's not their purpose, it's yours. And for me, this has been really interesting for me. Even still, it's like so much of a deepening lesson, more and more and more as I go on through life, of just this. The way that I heal is sometimes not going to look pretty. I had to accept that. It's not always going to be like rose quartz, baby. Like, it's sometimes some motherfucking tourmaline in a sock. You know what I'm saying? I'm kidding. But in reality, like, if you think about healing on a very physical level, surgeries, they are life-saving, but they are a mess, right? Terrifying. Looks like something horrific if you didn't know that it was medicine. And that is exactly how you have to be in acceptance of your craft, that sometimes, and most times, as an artist or creative or mystic or whatever, your craft looks a little scary, a little shadowy when you're learning how to really accept that it is you. You will first awaken to your light. Then you'll awaken to your shadow. Then you'll awaken to yourself. So just because this process of addressing that you are talented, purposeful, gifted, in tune, sensitive, feeling, sensing, just radiant human being. It's okay that it might bring up some of the deeper parts of us, the wounded parts of us, the things we may have tried to run away from. And you can put it into your medium. You can put it into your practice. It will empower your practice. That's alchemy, baby. Put it into whatever your practice is. That is where the whole real yumminess of it really is. And not only that, it helps you get to this point of accepting who you are, what you do, and why it's healing, when others will not understand it, will think that it looks scary. They might even think it's wrong. There's a lot of people who don't give me a big old smile when I tell them that I have oracle cards, which I'm not using, by the way, because in this last couple of days I have not needed them. And that was confirmation for myself. That was a real internal yeah, okay, something's shifting, honey. I never needed my cards. I loved them. I loved the visual confirmation right here in the physical plane of yes. But I am in this deep acceptance of self and deep internal trust that cannot be moved or shaken. And that is sort of new, semi-fresh, okay? That's always something I've strived for and been working towards and cultivating on and did a lot of work around so that I could help other women do the same thing as an empowerment coach. Not only do I help women now, but all people, especially creatives. And it's still a deepening lesson, and I felt it. I felt it deepen. I felt it settle. I felt my nervous system in this complete ease when I was in circumstances that would have dysregulated the fuck out of me. And by doing, as we've been talking about, we're doing the shadow work, no longer running away, numbing out, escapism patterns, habits, whatever it is. By being really there and willing to see that, you get to this place when you're okay when people don't understand you. You're okay when people have criticism or tell you it's wrong. But you also get to this place of just inner stillness, of inner contentment and belonging. Yes. That, my friends, is really, I think, the most deep sense of authentic expression of self. And that puts you in a place where you're able to actually fully reach the people that you need to be reaching. The people that were divined to be in your path at that time, at that place, after you went through years of learning this and that and this and that and going through that and going over there and being there, and somehow you were also in that spot at the same time. Yeah, of course. It was your purpose. Stop playing around with your purpose. I want to really emphasize this because I feel so deeply called to that you have to stop running. You have to stop running and numbing and running and numbing and running and numbing. It is not helpful for you. You're safe. Okay, like I said, we're getting to this place, this environment where speaking your truth, setting your boundaries, standing your ground, whatever you need to do to feel safe and secure and assured in your being. This is a time when whatever that looks like is gonna be celebrated by the right people. Not everybody, maybe the majority, maybe not, but you will hear that applaud, or you will get that thank you, or you will have that recognition. And that's not what you're doing it for, of course, but it will happen to affirm for you, okay, this is healing. Sometimes healing looks a little mean when you have been somebody who has abandoned yourself continually in order to stay safe and in service. Now you're seeing that there is a service in creating your safety in whatever means necessary. And that is healing. And a lot of people might not get it, but a lot of people will. And that's who you're here for. That's what your craft is for. That's what you need to apply this to your medium, and however that looks. If you paint, if you do music, if you are learning to do oracle cards, or you have been for 20 years, that is what's coming through. That it's time for you to really lean in, first of all, but then also lean on the people who are really celebrating what the authentic expression of your gifts are. And all the rest is some bullshit for the birds. So, I'm not going to go on too further. I think I've shared everything that I need to share. It is snowing again, so I'm not sure. I should make my way out in this weather or not. Northeastern things, am I right? Yeah, there is a lot of significant things happening for people right now. And without overlooking that or ignoring that, because how could you? I just want to also shed light on how this might be activating for us collectively, how this might show up for us in our internal world, in our internal systems. And I think, it's really been, like I said, this initiation more than anything. And I think you're finding that peace, and you're finding that almost place of gratitude to be like, oh shit, okay, thanks, got it. That's what it was for, so that you can actually move forward and step further into belief of yourself, step further into this place of acceptance, of realizing what you're actually here to do. And I understand that, for some of us, doing our gift is a real privilege and a luxury. But there's still a lot of ways that you can supply healing to yourself, your loved ones, the world around you, your community, your environment. There is a lot of healing that can take place in even the smallest and minute interactions, exchanges, and you have something to contribute. No matter what, no matter if you feel like you know the exact path that you're supposed to be set on, or if you feel like your compass is still spinning, it is within you. That's the final message I'm going to leave this with, because this was very clear that I needed to share this. You have everything you need. You have everything you need. You have all of the tools. It was very simple. It was very straightforward. Just this beautiful, you have all the tools you need. You've learned so much. You've been through so much. You've experienced enough, quite frankly. You'll experience more, but you've experienced enough. So let your angels, your ancestors, and your guides do some of the heavy lifting. Ground yourself, and you do some heavy lifting. I'm going to be honest with you. It's very helpful for me to take care of my body, to nourish my body, to be really tending to my physical body in order to really be in a space of balance and understanding of what's happening spiritually. When I am not in full union with my body, mind, and soul, it's very difficult to try to weave through the energetic gargle energetic static of the mind, if you will, because you are a human being. You are a physical being. You have to keep your body fueled. You have to keep your body taken care of and tended to. And, I'm not gonna lie, there's been some real testing and trying experiences for me, and it has shown up, gotten the best of me at times. But I just now let it allow me to be motivated to do what's best for me, to take care of myself, to put it into my purpose, to put it into my pleasure. And this is how you stay true to your authentic self and your authentic gifts in a world that is very, very dysregulated and confused. Everybody's confused. So come back to you, stay true to you, take care of your body, stay in balance. This is for your actual spiritual insight. Take care of your vessel. You cannot have one without the other in this time and space, honey. So yeah, lean on your angels and your ancestors and your guides. Keep cultivating and curating your beautiful gifts. Whatever your medium is, I know it's going to offer such beautiful healing and light to the world, and I cannot wait to see what you do. If you want to share what you do and what you offer, go ahead and drop a comment. I would love to see what kind of things the people who find my channel are up to. And as always, it's an energy exchange, so if these insightful messages are supportive to you and groovy in your being, a like and a comment does go a very long way. So until next time, I'm sending you all my lovin', and I'll talk to you soon.